Wi,
Yes, Mbak.
Apakah nanti para peserta yang di luar panel itu boleh menyampaikan apa solidaritas?
I discussed already with Scarlett that right after all panelists are done with remark or concern, then we'll invite everybody in this panel.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll read on the rules. Yeah. Okay. Shall we start? Yeah. In the next 1 minute. Yeah. So very good to see you again, Scarlett. After I think last time was in Bangkok. Yeah. 2019.
In ASEAN People Forum. Yes. Hi, Yoon.
Hi, Scarlett.
Yeah.
Hey, Charles.
All right. Yeah. Shall we start? Yeah. Can we start now? Okay. It's 2 p.m. my time. A very good afternoon, everybody, or yeah, maybe good evening or good morning in wherever you are. First of all, let me introduce myself and about this event. I'm Daniel Awigra from the Human Rights Working Group, and this event is a joint event hosted together with the Asia Justice and Right or AJAR, Asia Democratic Network, Migrant Care, and of course my organization, Human Rights Working Group, and also Journalist Association for Diversity. This is an Indonesian people solidarity to the democratization process in Myanmar. We are here in Indonesia mainly really monitor closely what's happening now there in Myanmar. That military and the police have committed serious human rights violation, including violating the right to life, freedom of assembly, freedom of expression, and the right not to be subject to arbitrary arrest and detention. We deeply concerned about what has happening there in Myanmar after the election, especially since military coup February 1st this year. Of course, we are against with every single coup which is anti-democratic. I'm sure together with us here, there are millions of Indonesian people who also like to express our solidarity, and please accept our deepest condolence for the democratic heroes who have been shot, dying, and then those who are arrested, detained, and enforced disappearances during the peaceful assembly and expressing their concern against the military coup. As a people in the region, we have shared, meaning Indonesia and Myanmar, some similarities and concern, especially on our history of colonialization. We live under the military rule, and of course, the democratic setback. It's not only happened in Myanmar, no, also in Indonesia currently. With maybe Damar later on can touch upon a bit what's really happening in the democratic process here in Indonesia. We of course gather here to really uphold our belief in democracy and to uphold the human right principles that have to be taken place, in governing society. It is not just only belief that the democracy has to be in our country, but also our struggle together with, of course, Myanmar friend. Since a decade ago, we also promoting and pursuing democratic society in the region as general in ASEAN. So we are with you, Indonesian civil society, Indonesian people, with the people in Myanmar currently. Before I start, I'd like to read a bit about the rule of this event. Please mute your mic when you are not speaking. And the composition of this public discussion is divided into 2 parts. Now all panelists are appear on the screen, and the video you can see. And right after all done with the comment and concern of the panelists, I'll invite everybody, attendees becoming in the panel, so we can address concern and comment or even question directly. And also please use any language that is convenient for you. With us, there is Kirana, our language simultaneous interpreter. Hopefully, she could assist us in, bringing the concern and also the message. This webinar will be recorded and for the documentation purpose and stream or air at Indonesian CSO Coalition YouTube. All right. I'd like to share our speaker and also the discussion, mainly because it is solidarity action. The first, I'd like to invite later on Tinsar Sunle Yi. I met her. We worked together since my organization worked with her 2014, if I'm not mistaken, a year before Myanmar, 2013, a year before Myanmar on 2014, becoming the chairs of ASEAN. So she's a young leader, anti-coup movement leader from the young. Of course, the future of Myanmar really depend on Scarlett and her colleagues there in Myanmar. So the only speaker that we will hear from her is update the current situation from Scarlett. Later on from Indonesian, because it is the Indonesian solidarity to people in Myanmar, I'd like to invite my friends, colleagues who really also work, not just only in Indonesia, but also in region. Indria Vernida from the Asia Justice and Right, or AJAR. AJAR is work really hard in the promoting and making sure the transitional justice in Asia. Also together with us, Ichal Supriyadi. He is from Asia Democracy Network. Of course, we talk about democracy, of course, in Asia. He always promoting the democratic space in this region. And then after that, we have Damar Juniarto. Damar not just only worked for the democratic in the offline basis, he also worked in the democratic in the online basis, because we know right after the coup there is a effort to really criminalizing those people in Myanmar using the very punitive internet law and so on and so forth. It's exactly the same what's happening in Indonesia. Also some internet shutdown, throttling, and very technical term in internet that I don't really know what is it about. And last but not least, we have Ibu Yuyun Wahyuningrum. She's Indonesian representative to ICER. That since the beginning of the coup, Yuyun and her colleagues, Her Excellency Yuyun and her colleagues, four of them releasing statement, very strong statement against the coup. And of course, as we share in the pamphlet, in the poster, during the discussion, as a form of our solidarity, we will hear the poems from Wijitukul, Indonesian hero who was enforced disappearances during Suharto era. And from his poem, basically we are here basically now, that we are feeling unite by his words. So we are really get involved through his artwork, through his poem. So later on will be read by Mas Wahyu Sisilo. Wahyu Sisilo is younger brothers of Wijitukul himself. So he will read maybe in between speakers, following his availability on his schedule, because now he's also in charge or has a commitment with other event. So I'd like to start this public discussion. I thank you so much, Ming Laba, Tinsar Sunlei, Scarlett. Please share what's happening now, what's your concern, what's your main agenda, and what you think you want to share with us, Indonesia. We are with you. Scarlett, please.
Thank you, Jesus Demare, for organizing this, giving us a platform. I don't think I can represent the whole population, but as a young activist working for over a decade in Myanmar as for democracy and human rights, I think I will try to put out, what are our concerns right now and the challenges. So we've been protesting for every day since February 6th in Yangon, February 5th in Mandalay, after the coup. So every day out there on the street, there are 1,000 people, young people especially. We stop working, we give up our jobs, and we join different movements, etc. So also there are violence, crash down. I don't want to repeat all these things at the same time, because to save the time, as well as these things happen not just in the urban areas right now. You all may aware that the same military is committing the same crimes, since long time ago, since the independence. They are fighting against the ethnic M's group long time ago, and many people being killed on a daily basis. Even last 2 years, there were serious crimes committed by the military in Arakan state, and also 3 years ago to the Rohingya people, and again to the Arakan people in Rakhine state. There were the war's longest internet shutdown since that time, and now we are witnessing this crime, these injustices now coming to a big city in Yangon and Mandalay. Now we are experiencing a daily curfew, not just physical curfew, but also digital curfew. We can access internet from 1 a.m. to 9 a.m. on a daily basis. So all these things you can read. It's like historic kind of. You can read even more than a book, that how the military being treating its own people in that scale, in the large scale. So they are practicing in discriminatory atrocity against their own people, and we are worried that will escalate with the ongoing crisis and ongoing protest, mass protest, and so on. So that's our main concern. And right now we are copying the resistant gesture, the three finger, the Hunger Game gesture against the dictatorship, and we name it. The first finger represents we don't want the military regimes. We are opposing the military junta in any stronger possible ways. And the second finger is we are against the all forms of dictatorship, not just military, but also all forms of dictatorship in our generations, not just in the country, but in the region as well, in our region. And the third finger also say we are marching, we are protesting, not just to restore our leader, but also to restore our dream since Pelon peace agreement, in Saint Bojo Aung San, General Aung San eras. We are marching for federal democratic union. So these are the three fingers that we are protesting on a daily basis. Every generation are joining in the marching and the protest. Also, how are we gonna do it? We are fighting the same army since long time ago using different tactics. You can name it. You can name all the non-violence tactics. We have used it. We have applied all the tactic methodology to go against the same army since long time ago. Now we are using the same strategy, but now I think it is gaining momentum with this crisis. We feel like it was a sudden attack on the 1st February that the military immediately, suddenly committed a coup against our leaders and the government, but we were not totally prepared. But I feel like with that large scale of people getting on the street, we feel like we are all prepared mentally and physically to fight against the same army since long time ago. We didn't know when. But when that happened, we were all came out in one, like a united force against the same army. Regardless of religions, regardless of race, sex, color, even Rohingya are now protesting against the same army in their refugee camps in Kopasar. And how are we going to do it? Because we think military, they have three main pillars that's supporting that. The first pillar is the financial institution, the financial sources. So we need to cut the resources that enable their military coup, enable in the country. So now we are demanding international institution, financial institution, all the international companies and government to cut ties with the military businesses, because military had a lot of enterprise, a biggest enterprise in the country, running. That also gave a lot of resources to kill their own people. So now we are demanding to put on sanction on the military generals, not just on individual general, but also on their businesses. So that's one strategy that we are using. And another pillar that's supporting the military is their mechanisms. So we need to stop their mechanisms from running on a daily basis. So we organize CDM, called Civil Disobedience Movement. It's been led by the civil servant. It's genuinely, purely led by the civil servant in Mandalay from the young doctors. They led this. Now it's being joined by almost every ministry of staff. But there are some ministry of staff still refuse to join in. We are pushing them, encouraging them, helping them, supporting them. You can also help us along this strategy as well. So CDM is already been imposed since February 3rd. We don't know how long it will last. We are fighting saying we are trying to destroy the mechanisms, we are trying to stop its running. And the third pillar is about the protest, and also on a daily basis, we need to show our resistance. We don't like the coup. We are not acknowledging their ruling against ruling administration, so that we use pots and pans every night to show our resistance. So this is another way of doing things on mass protest, the CDM, as well as put it on sanction. So at the same time, we are also looking at the legal structure that support the military. For example, the biggest thing that we can see, a biggest elephant in the room, is the 2008 constitution. The constitution remained drafted by the military, and it was not designed to amend through the parliament sessions. We have applied it, we have learned it, we have used it for the past 10 years. It didn't work. It just enabled the military to enable them to coup again. So now they use the constitution article to commit crimes, and they justify everything. Now we are saying we are trying to abolish the 2008 constitution. We want a clear, our own script, drafted by our own people, including ethnic nationalities and those minorities people, not by the military and being endorsed by the ruling party. So we want our own script right now. So these are the strategy that we are trying to impose right away, and it's being organized by different groups, different initiatives, in a harmonized manner. So for today, we also ran on protest. Even today, it's a coincidence as well. Today we have a big gathering in front of the Indonesian embassy. I think you all are aware that we are opposing against the Indonesia government action plan to push the ASEAN governments to agree with that, to follow, to hold accountable of the military junta, to hold accountable with their promises of the re-elections. But nothing. We want to say nothing can justify their coup. Even though if they say they are electoral fraud and there are a lot of accusations, but nothing can justify that they can do coup because of all the accusation. So we want to say we all equally reject the military coup, and we want everyone, including the ASEAN's government, not to be sided with the military junta, not even to recognize them, but to follow and to recognize the CRPH. Is the representative committee by the Bidang Sudut, or the parliament members. They organize it, and now they are trying to liaise with the ASEAN government, international government, as soon as possible. They have their own representatives. So I also want our friends in ASEAN, also Indonesian friends, I'm pretty sure you are also discussing and pushing your government how to listen carefully to our people's demand, or as the intervention or any facilitation were faced with a strong opposition from the peoples of Myanmar. So right now, I think I want you all, as an activist for over the last decade, I'm so angry, at the same time, I've been reading the same injustices committed by the military to the Rohingya people, to the Rakhine people, Kachin people. I feel the same anger. I want you all to feel the same anger and disappointment, because it's not just about my country, it's about the same humanity that we've been in danger, we've been threatened. A group of people hold the guns and weapons, and they think they can do anything they want because they have guns and weapons. I think this is a clear mindset that we have to reject equally. We have to be aggressive equally against their behavior and the mindset. So I think use Myanmar scenario, use Myanmar case study to educate further to your generations in our region that the dictatorship is not to be accepted. We have to oppose all forms of dictatorship and the bullying culture, the coup culture, not just in my country, but in the region as well. So I think to the peoples of Myanmar, to the peoples of ASEAN, we got each other. We need to form a similar strategy to oppose all forms of dictatorship, to end all forms of dictatorship in the region. Thank you.
Thank you, Scarlett. Very comprehensive and concise and I'm sorry so what's happening there. And also, of course, the statement brought by the Reuters also brought us in the like a bit challenging, because I know that there is a clarification from the foreign minister of Indonesia, but of course it is the this our people to people solidarity that we still together with you in Myanmar. So thank you so much for explaining what's this the meaning of three finger signs. And also later on we will together bang pot and spans together right after the discussion to show up our solidarity together. And then this is of course a discussion to Indonesian, how we really maximize this opportunity, not this situation, to really make an opportunity to work together within Indonesia and also regionally in ASEAN. So I'd like to invite first of all India Fernida from the Asia Justice and Right, or AJAR, to share what's your view, AJAR view, about what situation in Myanmar, what we can do as Indonesian, or also our responsibility as a neighboring country and also region. Indri, please, I hand it to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Scarlett, for your statement, for your hope, for your resilience, and also your struggle in Myanmar. It's really inspiring for us as well in the region. And I hope that we still have, like the energy to do together in the future. I think we have to say the solidarity for our friends in Myanmar as well. Of course, we know that this is hard for you and for them as well. And actually, we also don't know how it will be finished, because there's no, from the situation in the region as well about this one. So in related with the situation in Myanmar, I think we also have to acknowledge that the democratic situation in Myanmar is quite fragile, because it is like the new transition, and also people still dealing with the past, but also trying to dealing with the impunity in the countries. I know that the situation in Myanmar before this it is happened is also being spotlight by us in the region, also in the UN, when the situation in Rakhine and also in Rohingya is also still ongoing. So even though this situation is quite surprising, but actually we also can see that this is the problem remain when the democratic transition is still in a fragile condition. In considering on the issue of transitional justice, for example, we can see that why it is happened, because of course, even though the civilian government is in the governments, but the military is still strong and also having a lot of equipment and also a lot of power in Myanmar as well. So I think this is also one of the problem, how the situation in Myanmar will be like this. And I think we also can see from I think a few years back, when the Rakhine situation and also in Rohingya, how the military is still using excessive force in the countries. So of course, in related with that, I think in Myanmar, people also still struggling on dealing of revealing the truth, what really happened in the past, and also looking for the reparation actually for the survivors. AJAR is having a lot of work with the women ethnic group in Myanmar, and also can see directly, even though they are also facing the democratic transition, but they're still also a part of the left behind actors in the situation in Myanmar. So I think in this kind of situation, of course, the reform of military is being the crucial issue. I know in some way military also learn a lot from the Indonesian government. They came to Indonesia having some assistance from the Indonesia, including military from Indonesia. So I think this is also the role of Indonesian government. We know that the situation in Indonesia is not really a better situation currently, particularly. But of course, we also passed those more than 20 years after the democratic transition. And in this kind of situation, in the beginning of transition, military is the actor who also, I don't want to say agreed, but forced to be in their barrack, you know, in their role. So I think in this kind of situation, we also have to push those kind of things. I think one of the problem that the military is still in the political situation in Myanmar as well. So that's why they still have a power to deal with this kind of situation. So I think I just want to strengthening the demand of the civil society in Myanmar as well, and I think we have to agree about that one. That what is happening in Myanmar is not an internal affair. Is it a regional affair? So we are in the region have to deal with that as well. We have to understand that the civil disobedience movement is a part of the human rights for the peaceful assembly. So in this kind of situation, all the people, including military in Myanmar, has to respect their basic rights of the people. I'm afraid that even though there are many a spirit from the people in Myanmar to have a long protest, a peace demonstration, but we have to really acknowledge that it's really a risk to get provocating from others. So I hope that the neighborhood, the brotherhood, the sisterhood from the people in Myanmar, even though they are coming from different kind of ethnic, and see that this is the problem of the people in Myanmar, they can also dealing with this kind of situation. We know that they established the coordination between various actors who manage the demonstration, a peace civil disobedience movement, and we hope that it could be continue with those kind of coordination with the peace situation. The other one that we have to strengthening that we have to respect the election result. I think this is also our position on the civil society in Indonesia in dealing with the Indonesian government, that you have to respect their election. Your suggestion, even though it's just a rumor in the Reuters, but at least we have to, you know, like reaffirm our position that we have to support the people in Myanmar to respect the election result. And coming to and return to the civilian role, I think this is also one of the key messages that we have to strengthening. The other one that, of course, we also support for the immediate release for the all individuals and the people who are arbitrarily detained, and also they should have a legal assistance and medical support as well. So I think the homework of the Indonesian people, the civil society in Indonesia, is also quite a lot, because in fact, Indonesian government is become a pioneer, you know, like to take an initiative dealing with this issue. I think it's also the same with the ICER in Indonesia. So I think we have to hand together pressing the other government in the region, in ASEAN, to deal with that, and also to say that, you know, the military government is not the democratic government. So we have to have those kind of standard, and we have to deal with that situation. So I think that's for the initial comment from me as an Ajar, and still provide a solidarity for the people in Myanmar and friends in Myanmar as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Indria Fernida from Ajar. Indri also highlight that it is also not just only Indonesian responsibility, it is regional responsibility. We have to hand together, pressing our government, especially to not recognize recognize military rule as a democratic one, and also respecting the CDM, or also supporting the CDM as a peaceful assembly rights, and also respecting the voice of the people, and then go back to the civilian rules and release all detained people and person there. So thank you so much for the for your comment and your observation there. So bring up a bit in this region, a bigger region, not just only Indonesia and Myanmar, also the region in ASEAN. I'd like to invite Ichal Supriyadi. He works in Asia, broader than this. We know that also in Asia, we got some challenges in democratic society, democratic setback in Hong Kong, Taiwan, and some other country, or how you see Ichal, especially in the situation in Myanmar currently. Pak Ichal, please. I pass to you.
Lagi nelpon dia.
Ah, sorry?
Dia lagi nelpon.
Oh, Pak Ichal is nelpon?
Saya baca puisi dulu aja.
Oke. Pak
Ya.
Wiji, Pak Wahyu Susilo will read maybe one poem of poetry first from Wiji Tukul, and then if you from outside Indonesia who don't know Indonesian language, you can activate the interpretation service. You can turn on, and then hopefully our language interpretation simultaneous will translate, even though it is not really professional, meaning that just only responding directly. Please, Pak Wahyu Susilo.
Okay, I want to read Wiji Tukul poems about the military action. Bernapas panjanglah, jangan ditelan kalut. Bernapas panjanglah, jangan dimakan takut. Bernapas panjanglah, jangan berlarut-larut. Bernapas panjanglah, jangan surut. Bernapas panjanglah walau gelap. Bernapas panjanglah walau pengap. Bernapas panjanglah kau, bernapas panjanglah para korban. Bernapas panjanglah aku. Bernapas panjanglah kalian. Bernapas panjanglah semua. Bernapas panjanglah melihat tank-tank dikerahkan. Bernapas panjanglah melihat tentara mondar-mandir berselendang M16. Bernapas panjanglah mendengar para aktivis ditangkapi. Bernapas panjanglah para kambing hitam yang diadili. Bernapas panjanglah dengan pemutar balikan ini. Mereka ingin sejarah dibaca bersih. Bagaimana mungkin jika mereka menulis dengan sobekan daging, laras senapan dan kubangan darah? Baca kembali semuanya dan bernapas panjanglah. Bernapas panjanglah akal, bernapas panjanglah hati. Bangun dan bernapas panjanglah. Thank you.
Thank you so much for expressing solidarity with a poem by Wiji Tukul. As we all know, maybe I'd like to a bit introduce who is Wiji Tukul. Wiji Tukul is Indonesian activist who was disappeared 2 decades ago. He was a labor, an activist, and also, of course, during the military government afraid with their poetry. So at the end of the day, he was kidnapped, and until now we don't know yet his life. I'd like to again go back to the discussion by inviting Pak Ichal. If Pak Ichal ready with us now, okay, please turn on your mic.
Yeah, Scarlett, first I would like to thank you for your courage, your friends, colleagues on the streets, online. You tempted to, you all very brave, using any access any tools, and any single sweat to voicing out the concern of the people. And I think we try to be just try to be resilient, make it noise, and try to amplifying the concerns that comes from Burma. So I just wanted to highlight a few things here and then let the others try to pick up other matters. I think, especially about the elections, if I may speak from the electoral angles, because I've been working for election for 20 years. And I think it's unwise suggestion for everybody to try to pursue election just after the coup d'etat, because the elections are required rigid requirements to achieve free and fair elections. First is the will of the peoples, because there is no election to solve the political conflict except the peoples who going to casting and deposit single ballot papers to the boxes wanted. The election is served for the people, not served for the politicians. So I think the will of the Myanmar people has been spoken. Then I think any attempt to consider having elections should be seriously withdraw. And then especially there is no election will be happens under circumstances where the electoral where the political prisoners still there, and then there is no freedom of assembly, association, and movements. And then we're not talking yet about very comprehensive requirement for the free and fair election. For example, like voter registrations. If the junta was questioning voter registration, who can guarantee a clean and credible, accountable voter registration in Myanmar? In many countries in Asia, we're still dealing about the voter registrations or voter lists. Even in Indonesia, we don't have absolutes, clean and accountables or credible voter list. And I believe in many countries in Asia like that. So if there is election 1 year from now or 2 years from now in Myanmar, I guarantee the voter list still will be messy. And secondly, the election should be carried in fear-free environments where there is no domination of one party, especially military. We can see how the Thai governments or Thai junta organizing the election, but still is always giving favor who are controlling the law, who are executing the management of elections, and then especially during the conduct of the votings, countings, and then conflict resolution along that. So I think that is the part that everybody should advocate. I was like receiving many of phone call from friends, I think frantically, maybe from Scarlet group as well, and from the ethnic groups, especially I putting attention of the ethnic groups. They are rejecting any kind of message that try, I mean, the good message try to, showing solidarity, but then again, not in the will of the people of Myanmar. And the ethnic group saying like this: if we have to cooperate with the military, especially to redo our election, who is stolen from us, that's gonna be shameful. This is direct message from our ethnic groups that has been sending recently. So I think this group should be able to reaching the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Indonesia. Of course, they already providing clarification, and I guess civil society of Indonesia could, providing more constructive and then connected informations in order to support people of Myanmar. And then Scarlett has reminding us a lot about the science. If the military in Myanmar doesn't have any appetite to really pursue democratization, they try to prolong. Well, actually, we should recognize the signals. But then again, many international community are really confident and really, like a very belief if the real democracy will be coming in Myanmar. And I quite agree the symptom that happening in Myanmar also happening in many countries, including in Indonesia. I think we should also taking care that alarms and don't let the alarm goes getting worse. I think I thanks to Scarlett and then people who reminding us whatever happened in Myanmar could be happen also anywhere. Thank you and return back to you. And then I can respond later if any further communications. Thank you, Awi.
Thank you, Pak Ical. You give us a very, very good, perspective, especially on the electoral side, because we know that this coup started with the, the justification. They don't, like the military doesn't really didn't really recognize the result of the election, and then of course you also, making sure that it is can be happen in Myanmar. It can be happen everywhere in the world. So now from the offline democracy, I'm going to invite Pak Damar Juniarto, the SafeNet Executive Director, to share on what's happening on the online world. That also in Myanmar there are a lot of challenges in these issues, blocking internet and so on and so forth. Pak Damar, I pass to you.
Thank you, Awi, for your introduction. First of all, I would like to say I support the people of Myanmar and also support everyone who gather here to give solidarity for the people of Myanmar, and especially for for Scarlett, who already shared to us what is the situation that's happening in Myanmar. In my point of view, whenever we say something related to the online, I think we have to also see the correlation with the offline first. We already know that in the region and also in Myanmar right now, there is a tendency of the shrinking civic space. And then it includes not only in offline, but also in online. But outside of that shrinking civic space, but we are, as a region, currently we are racing to the bottom. In online perspective or in the digital rights perspective, we are now racing to the digital dictatorship. And this is that I already saw happening. And I see the worst type, the worst case in Myanmar right now. Whenever the military, the Tatmadaw, using the internet as a way to control the society. So the Tatmadaw learned the dangers of the free internet and open internet. So that's why they try to control the online space. So that's why we hear from Scarlett, there is a digital curfew right now every night. But we also try to remind you that the same thing already happened for more than 2 years in Rakhine and Chin State before this coup. And then the second thing, there is an online censorship happening, and also surveillance in a way that the government or the Tatmadaw use the mobilization of opinion using the bot and also the troll campaign to against the people who are try to telling that there is something wrong with the Myanmar recently. So on the case of digital curfew, that in our terms we say that it's a type of internet shutdown. This is something that worrying, because whenever the intention is not only about cutting or not allowing people to say anything by taking down content or taking down account, but the military, the Tatmadaw, use the infrastructure to cut everything. So it's like saying that there is no need that there is no option that people can amplify what they want right now, and also the situation that they are uh, they had every day. Like first of all, we already know that not only internet shutdown, but also the Tatmadaw also blocking Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, and also messengers on the platform. So this is something that this is, I think the how the military use the digital is right now is also suffering the people of Myanmar. And the second thing is about the law inside the constitution of Myanmar, the existing 2013 Telco Myanmar that allowing criminalization of the activity that runs on the internet by saying that it's not true, it's a hoax. It is also something that I think uh, giving more burden for the people of Myanmar to free express themselves, and we see the worst case when the law is being used by the Tatmadaw to criminalize the political leadership as well in Myanmar, right? In recent cases. If I'm not mistaken, like Dang Aung San Suu is being taken to custody. It's being uh, uh, detained because of breaches the country import and export law just because having walkie-talkie. And then the second, I think the President Win Min is under custody as well because allegedly broken the COVID-19 rules during the campaign rally. This is something that it is how they weaponize the law to the Tatmadaw weaponize the law to strengthen their position, and also to make the people of Myanmar suffer more than before. And right now, if I'm not mistaken, I also heard about there is a lot of fake news related to the what happened in situation in Myanmar that wants to uh, making the people movement is not getting bigger and not supported by a lot of people in the in the world. But I think this is something that also contribute on the weakening the struggle. So what we can do as a solidarity as the ASEAN people, what can we support the people of Myanmar during this pandemic and also during this hard time. I think I will always believe on the people solidarity as a weapon. So this is the kind of meeting like this when people having updates on the situation that happening in Myanmar is very important. And then the second thing I think we can do as a civil society, we can push our government to really pay attention on what happened in Myanmar, and then support them to make a real demand, like the demand that the government should send message to the Tatmadaw that said they should respect the result of the election. And then the second, they should listen to the what happening in Myanmar right now, where people, a lot of people, millions of people gathering on the street and asking for the democracy to back in the country. And then the third one, to stop violence of the activists and also the people who spoken out their need to have the democracy. I think those three are the most important message that we have to send as a ASEAN people. and we should push our government to voicing out our voice. And about the violation of digital rights, it is something that we should do this together as well, because the definitely Tatmadaw do a big violation on the digital rights. This is something that we can use the instrument of international law, including the internet law, uh, to condemn the internet shutdown. That's the first one. And then the second one, to condemn the blocking and also filtering on the content on the application like Facebook, Twitter, and instant messaging like Messenger and WhatsApp. And then the third one, I think this is the most important thing, is how to make the how to strengthen our noise, like amplifying the noise that already started in the Myanmar with the banging your pots. I think that's something that we can do as well for Asian people as for the solidarity. Thank you, Awi.
Thank you, Pak Damar Juniarto, for your observation and your thought about, especially in the situation on violation on the digital right, and some action you propose that it is also our task as Indonesian to really push our government, and also to condemn the action done by the government, by the military rules now that doing internet shutdown, blocking, and also continue to support the condemnation through banging pot and pans. Later on, after last speaker, we will have it together. So I'd like to invite at the end, as the last discussion, is Ibu Yuyun Wahyuningrum. She's Indonesian representative to ICER that we know, even though it's very difficult ASEAN, to make a progress in things because of non interference principle, consensus decision making. But we know that ICER also made in the individual basis together with other colleagues, trying to comment or against what's happening in Myanmar. So maybe question about what ASEAN can do, what ICER can do in this situation is really, really interesting. Bayuyun, it is your task also. We hope that you together with Indonesian people to really, of course, for supporting Myanmar people. Bayuyun.
Thank you very much, Minglaba. Greeting from Indonesia, Scarlett, and to all Myanmar audience here. As Awigra already mentioned, that we are with you. This forum is really designed for to express our solidarity, the Indonesian people, the society, to the work and the fight for democracy in Myanmar. I'm very encouraged seeing young people, not only young, also old people and everyone come to the street and express their interests and their belief on freedom and democracy in Myanmar. And this is something that we do not see in 2008 and in the 90s. And we believe that it was very, very important to have a political education, democratic education, to the people after the democratization in 2011. And we see how people really own the idea of democracy and fight for it. And so, as you know, some of the ICER representatives have come up with a statement to express our disagreement with what happened with the act that military taken to take the power by force. So we individual representatives have done their own part. I cannot speak on behalf of them, but for ICER Indonesia, we have been talking with I have been talking with different scholars, civil society, as well as a government here in Indonesia, because government of Indonesia, especially the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that I work closely, had been very sincerely expressed the interest to ensure that people in Myanmar are safe. So as for your information, ICHR meeting supposed to be happen on February 2nd, just a day after the coup. But we couldn't organize one because Myanmar representative did not come to the screen. So we have to wait until all 10 come together. So I hang around in Ministry of Foreign Affairs building and talk with a lot of people, but almost all of them talk about Myanmar. What is happening, and how we can ensure people are protected, and so on and so on. So on the February 3rd, I also come to Kemlu, hoping that ICHR meeting will be organized, but was not organized. But still, we continue talking about Myanmar, especially the people. So I can feel that many officials that I met in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, especially on the ASEAN cooperation and also Asia Pacific cooperation, really concerned about the people in Myanmar. The first question to me was what happened with the people in Myanmar, what they want. So that is why I observe all the social media, Twitter, also Facebook, the information circulated around, and I try to feed the ministry on what I've seen and what I've uh, 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 understood from the social media, and I'm very happy that many people took social media to inform to the world on what is happening. I also attended some number of high-level webinars to understand the mind of diplomats and the mind of the policymakers on the situation, and I saw how it has been very different from what people on the ground wants and how this issue can be solved. Um, so I also continue to observe a situation. Not usually I release some of the statement, but some changes happen very quickly. So even before I finish my statement, already another event already happened in Myanmar. But yes, we put our eyes on you on the situation of Myanmar, especially your human rights as well as democracy. Just to give some of the, I'm not speaking on behalf of government of Indonesia, but I just would like to share some of the information in relation to what Reuters have been reporting. I think uh, in this case, in this situation that is very sensitive, we only can rely on official statement coming from the Minister of Foreign Affairs. And when she wanted to, if she wants to release a statement, she will bring all media outlets, media uh, the providers, not only Reuters. Because we have Indonesian minister also need to provide answers to Jakarta Post or Kompas or any Indonesian media, no? So in this case, only Reuters got the information, and then the person who shared the information did not want to mention the name. So when I read first, I don't. I already see this is not the official statement of the Indonesian government, and like Ichal as well as Awigra, I also received a lot of questions last night on their confusion and disappointment about this position. I keep saying that this is not the official position of Indonesian government, and since I have a connection, so I channel this kind of information, and as you can see this morning, Reuters already come up with a new news clarifying on the intention, because logically, since I've been working in this in ASEAN diplomacy even before I was civil society, before I was the ICHR representative. So the main focus of minister is now to bring all together, 10 members together to agree on a meeting. Imagine if you have 10 friends, and these 10 friends have different position on the situation. First, you need to convince them to have a meeting. Then after that, you talk about the dates, who will be attending the meeting. Then you talk about the agenda, outcome document, and then talk about the agenda of the meeting. You do not put the agenda in the beginning, even before the meeting is agreed. So Reuters reported that Indonesia want to push for the election and others. So for me, it doesn't make sense, because first you need to convince all 10 to come together to have a meeting. Uh, Minister Retno has discussed with Malaysia, Singapore, Brunei. Today she is in Bangkok. So she will be rallying to all 10 countries to first to agree on the meeting and then decide the date, who will be attending, what kind of outcome document. My experience in ITER, we also experience the same thing, that this sequence, the meeting, the date, and then talk about the agenda. And this, every single decision on this small little thing is political. So that is why so that is why when I read the news, I don't think it is the position of in Indonesia officially, because people can share their opinion, no, they can share what they think about the situation and possible ways that Indonesia can intervene. But I don't think that's the way diplomacy is doing. So I just would like to give this in the perspective. But I'm happy that today it's already clarified, and also it's already mentioned that the President Jokowi has congratulated Do Aung San Suu Kyi on the result of the election. So the statement of the president is more important than whether or not we push for re-election or not. So I think I hope that would explain and would clarify on the position of Indonesia. Again, I do not want to speak on behalf of government of Indonesia because I cannot. I do not have the capacity. But if we understand the process of how ASEAN governments come together, what is written in Reuters does not necessarily reflect the tradition and the practice of how governments, not only in ASEAN but around the world, has been working on certain issues. And what else? And also, as mentioned by the statement of the minister in Reuters today, we Indonesian government and also the society care about the security, personal security, especially of the people of Myanmar. I received my friends last night also chat with me saying that the police, the army, the military raided her house. She has to go. She has to run away into different places because she lead two protests in two different places, and she is current. So I'm sure she's not the only one that got chased by the police and the military, and I'm very worried about that. And that is why it is very important for us to ensure that no bloodshed, no harassment, no intimidation against unarmed individual or people in Myanmar, and that exactly how the engagement will go. So the engagement is not to legitimate military. The engagement is for the purpose of reducing or minimizing victims inside the country, and prioritizing talk and dialogue with the military right now. And as everyone in, I think the statement from the chairman statement, as well as the ICHR, also highlight on the importance of return to democracy, a return to um, um, uh, the situation before the coup. So I think that's very clear on the side of ASEAN. So that's Awigra, I hope I answered the question.
Thank you so much, Mayun. You show with us, you stand with us in the solidarity, meaning that you still, of course, voicing out. You also come from civil society, representative ICHR, of course, by having you in the ICHR to always push the human right cooperation, guarantee the democratic principle is really important. That thank you so much for your role and the statement, and also your presence here. So I think, as we already said during the agenda. So I'd like to ask a host to assist us, to help us to switch or to move the attendees all becoming a panelist, so we can later on see each other faces here, and then right after everybody in the panel, so we can see everybody, and then we will banging our pot or pans together. So I'd like to once again invite Scarlett Tinzar Sunlei to lead how we do that as our expression to the solidarity in Myanmar currently. So I chat with Scarlett. It will be 2 minutes. We are banging pot or pans. 1 minute and 1 minute. Indonesia and Myanmar becoming two, so 2 minutes. Supposed to be 15 minutes. If 15 minutes, then everybody will have another agenda to do. So hopefully it is enough to show up, and you can also screen cap or do anything to your personal campaign or your organizational campaign in order to really express our feeling and solidarity to Myanmar people. So I'd like to invite
So video.
everybody. Yeah, we show up our video. So swab your face everybody and bring your pot or pan. Wajan atau pancinya dikeluarkan semua everybody. Wah, so wajan and panci in Indonesia we call it wajan or panci, pot or pan. Okay. It's no matter whether it is expensive or cheap, it doesn't really matter. So just show up, whether it's like clean or dirty. Mahdi Muhammad, be careful. It is plate, glass, plate. Okay. Show up everybody. Show up everybody also.
Taking a picture.
I think a host help me, Icha or everybody. Show your face up, everybody. Okay, including. Oi, Pak Jose Susilo. Pak Hosi.
Pak Josi.
Pak Josi.
So yeah, thank you. So when we ban the pox and pans, we think of all the lost life along these uprisings. We have lost nearly a dozens right now. Some of them are not officially announced, but many people already being killed and violently harassed. So we think of their loss, their life, and also we are also putting all our energy and force into banking. Putting the anger, everything like out. We all out our anger against the military junta. Like they've been doing all these injustices throughout their life, throughout our life. So yeah, let's start for 2 minutes. Thank you.
Yep. So you can turn on also your microphone, everybody. Start, mic. One.
That's good.
1, 2, 3.
Mas, sini deh.
Sisu Cumare, please accept our solidarity. Now, please again turn off your microphone. Camera is okay if you wanna have a camera on. No, there are at least two questions. Arrive on my chat list. First from Dian. So Myanmar doesn't have sufficient dispute settlement mechanism for election. Dispute like Indonesia. What can Indonesia do to work with Myanmar and other member states to resolve the issue, especially since not all ASEAN members have such a democratic tradition. So I think this question will go to Pak Ical, election related issues. The second is from Winarso. So it's in Indonesia. I tried to translate what is it about. It's basically what's happened in Myanmar comparing Indonesia back to 1998, even though the internet has a lot of restriction, but the information can still spread. It can be proven by the massive, movement day by day in the recent time. So this peace movement has to be defended and secured because it can be military will create another riot. That is why it can be said that military can do a more harsh, action to demonstrate to the mass act, to the mass. So the question is how to come up with the civil society actor that is not really depending on Aung San Suu Kyi. So two questions. So maybe everybody can share, especially to Scarlett. How is there any like new actors not only depend on Aung San Suu Kyi? So first, I'd like to invite Scarlett first to maybe responding the discussion on how you observe from the solidarity given by your colleagues in Indonesia, friends in Indonesia. Scarlett.
Yes, thank you. I think we have a lot to learn. Regarding the civil society movement, our country will lagging behind actually. Because of the military junta for so many years. Only after 2012, even for myself, I get to learn about what is human rights only after 2012. There are many people out there who would never learn how to do human rights works or advocacy. We've been learning a lot. We've been like a toddler. We're trying to build up ourselves. So I think we have a lot to learn from our regional friends and the civil society. So thank you. So your inputs and your discussion, your analysis, always helpful to all of us, and not just discussion, but also your support, solidarity. Now, I think many of us just realized, solidarity is the key to everything. We have to stand up for each other. Now, you might be aware that I've been seeing a lot of um, kind of Facebook post, we can say confession from our Burmese young people. They say they regret about the Rohingya crisis. They regret they didn't stand up for the Rohingya. They regret they didn't stand up for the Kachin people, Rakhine people. Now they are feeling the same thing, just like what they were feeling under the same military. The it's not incomparable. Actually, it's not comparable with what has the Rohingya people were facing back in years ago, and also how the Karen people resisting, in the jungle, of course. But now we get the sense of it. We get that taste, that oppression, really bitter for all of us. I think it's a door for all of us to learn and reflect how. So it's the right time for the regional civil society working not just for your country, but for the humanity, for all human rights principle. It's the right time for you to educate us, to help us understand more, to connect, how these things are important to each other. So I'm really glad that to hear your perspective and all these things. And regarding the government, issue with the ASEANs, that's one of the reasons why why I include a suggestion to use Myanmar case study to educate your generations, because we want a government leaders in the future who are responsive, who go beyond all these principles, all these laws, and and then stand with humanity, stand with the peoples of any country. So we want those kind of leader. I don't think we have that kind of leaders right now in the ASEAN level. We want that kind of leader. So we need to start right now, at right now, influencing our young generation how to be a human, how to be a good government, not just for your own people, but also for the region. So I think our governments are not that good enough, but we all are responsible to push them harder to do better. And with the military junta in place in the region, I think it's a shame for us, for me, for all of us as well, not just in the country. We have military junta in Thailand as well. So I my sincere pledge to all to keep doing what you are doing, also inspire us, Father. Thank you.
Thank you, Scarlett. Now I'd like to invite first the Pak Ical, ya, Pak Ical, and then follow with other discussion.
Thank you, Awi. Scarlett, that is very touching speech, solidarity for all, doesn't matter, disregard religious, ethnics. I think we learn about it. Then besides, we're talking about Myanmar, we're also talking about Hong Kong and exiles, maybe Philippine minorities, now all under separations. Okay, then to respond the question about the elections, just imagine the election commission, the Independent Election Commission in Myanmar is just maybe around 7 years old. I was remember the first time I visited the office back to 2013 or 14, it was like a big building with empty, no printing, no computer, no nothing, mostly just like old, full furniture. And then multi-billions, multi-million US dollar has been, pumping before the election of 2015. That spread to the development election commissions, civil societies, political parties, everything. Bali was backwards after years or decades of dictatorship, and then just recently opened 2013. Can you imagine that? But then again, look at now. Myanmar has, things are just learning about human rights 2012. But within the range of 7 to 10 years, the amounts of the people, their youths understand about human rights and democracies are quite amazing. But then again, let me point out about the dispute resolutions. There is no such a rigid and very comprehensive mechanism within the Union Election Commissions, but they have what they call tribunals. So they will summon people who are submitting complaints, listening, and the Election Commission tried to providing verdicts or decisions. They don't have very strong power to to adjudications, which is unlike Indonesia. We have Bawaslu with semi adjudication power. So the law doesn't provide any power for the UEC to really putting down. And then most of the cases that they're facing, they have to face with the ethnic minority cases during the elections, military cases. The electoral fraud that committed by a strong group or strong persons that the election commission really need to take account for everything. Last year, previous election, they have very strong UEC chairman, which is the former generals. But these times, Ulaten, I think, is just like a former professor or academic. So this is giving two side of perspective. One general holding the election, which is they can deal directly with the military and ethnic group, and one is using the wisdoms. So I think it's very simple to answer that questions. Providing the law first, and the law, once the law exists, then it can be simply exercising. I think Indonesian election commissions or Bawaslu electoral supervisory body, or even UEC is a member of the association world electoral bodies, will be able to get assistance to establishing, to structuring a very strong dispute mechanism, as long the law is imposed and will be respected because the law is existing. Back to you, Awi.
Thank you, Scarlett and Pak Ical, for responding the concern and comment come from the crowd. I'd like to invite everybody who are already on the panelists. If you have any pressing concern on issue, that you can indicate yourself, whether you can raise your hand or chat your concern in Q&A box. That I'd like to invite you to deliver directly, address directly your concern and question. But responding Scarlett and Pak Ical, of course, I totally agree that it is also, even though it is serious issues and also a very heartbreaking situation currently, but also it is a learning process that not just only within Myanmar, but also in this region, like Scarlett has mentioned earlier, now people in Myanmar feeling that it is also happening in Rohingya people, and then now start feeling that the enemy is the same, which is the military government, the same actors. So then it is also the process of learning on how they act collectively, regardless their ethnicity and then religion and so on and so forth. So I think it is also a very good learning process and very constructive learning process. And also agree with Pak Ical earlier that democratic processes has need to be established in this region. Is there any one that wants to address concern, comment, or question in the room?
Someone actually
raise, yeah, I saw in the beginning.
Yeah, Taza or something.
Taza, still Taza is here? No, yeah, okay. So then there is some, I'd like to invite if there is anyone. Or Pak Wahyu Sisilo, do you have one more poem of Wiji Tukul? Okay, maybe Pak Wahyu is still busy with stuff there. If no, then I'd like to invite one by one each of you to give a closing remark to end our session today, because I think our message is already delivered, which is we share already our concern and expression to the situation happen in Myanmar these days. So I'd like to start from Mbak Yuyun, and then later on we'll end up with Scarlett, yeah, to end the discussion. And then Mbak Yuyun, and then Pak Damar, Pak Ical, and then last but not least, Scarlett. Ibu Yuyun, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this session. I think what happened in our region and also in other region taught us that democratization is not a process that when you have one and then that's it. It is a process that we need to nurture. We need to contribute. Everyone should have a space and ability to contribute to the process of democratization. And democracy has a lot of layers and elements. I think Ichal already mentioned earlier. There is an administration of democracy, the election. Election has a lot of tools, mechanism inside there, and dispute over election result is something that we need to accept. It is not something that bad or anything like that, but it is everywhere in the world. When election happen, the result always not amenable to the loser, so that is why there is a need to have a procedural democracy. Indonesia's democracy has been criticized of being too procedural, but apparently it is very, very important to reduce this kind of dispute. Ichal mentioned about the law, the need of the law, the need of additional institution for election, but also the court. We have institutional court. So when the constitutional court come up with the decision, and everyone should accept at least for 5 years, and then run again in another 5 years if they want. So I think this is part of the process, a very painful process, growing pains of how we become matured on democracy. And I've been witnessing, I've been monitoring so far on the situation of Myanmar and the spirit of the people. I'm worried that people will get tired physically and mentally, but I hope um, this kind of support from outside Myanmar will give you more energy to continue what you have done. But please remember that you are not alone. We are with you, and we continue to do whatever we can. And please do not hesitate to tell us what we should do, because Myanmar people should be the one to lead the movement, and we follow you. Vice versa. So on my capacity as I chair Indonesia, I receive a lot of uh, letters, statement from civil society. I've been forwarding this kind of statement to my channel in different institutions in the government, to make sure that our efforts in ASEAN and also as Indonesian society and government in line with the will of the people in Myanmar. So again, thank you very much for inspiring us with your spirit and energy, and also your ideas about democracy. It gives us a lot of strength. It is not only that uh, we try to give you to show our solidarity, to energize you, but your act has also energized us. So for that, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ibu Yun. I totally agree with you. Yeah. So no, I think let's we follow the leaderships of Myanmar people. Then tell us everything that you think we can do the best for you. We are hand in hand together. I'd like to invite Pak Damar, Pak Amang, Pak
Yeah,
Damar. Let's
I
go.
will make a short statement, closing statement. First of all, from Myanmar, we see that only the whenever the coup happen, the society will fight back. So we have to learn about their spirit. That military in Myanmar and also as well in Southeast Asia is sometimes they do this coup. So we have to learn from people of Myanmar to be brave, uh, rejecting the coup and also rejecting the what happened right now, the dictatorship in Myanmar. The second thing, I think uh, Scarlett has mentioned that we have to fight not based on religion, but we have to fight this on the base of humanity. That's a strong message that I want to amplify this to the people of Indonesia and elsewhere who attend this forum. Let's stand up together against dictatorship, not only in Myanmar but also somewhere in the region. There is also a tendency of digital dictatorship. So we have to fight, and then we have to regain our democracy. And like Yuyun says, the importance to nurture the democracy is not an easy task. We already know that. So that's why we have to work hand in hand. Civil society must open themselves collaboration and also have we have to deploy a lot of tactics, new techniques, including we have developed a new tactics also in the online space. So I will end my comment, like my short comment on this, and I'm waiting to bang my pots together with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Damar Juniarto. No, I'd like to invite again Ibu Indira Farida, Mbak Indri.
Okay, Thank you. I think we learned a lot about the situation in the region, yeah, including in Myanmar, and the role of civil society is a key. I agree with everyone. Then I think we have to looking for what is the strategic one that we can do as a civil society, looking for the innovative way, and also having a strategic advocacy dealing with the difficult mechanism in Asia when we don't have any strong mechanism actually. They always based on the Asian values and all those kind of things. So we have to look of what is the specific strategy on that. And of course, from those kind of experience in the democratic transition period, we have also acknowledged that dealing with the transition of democratic is also have to deal with the situation to revealing the past, providing accountability with the justice mechanism, providing reparation for the victims, and also security sector reform. And in this kind of situation, the role of civil society is still also important. I remember how the civil society in Indonesia also engaging for the military reform in the country. So maybe this kind of experiences could be also being a lesson each other. It's not just from Indonesia, but also from the other country. Philippines, for example, even though currently the situation is quite different. But again, I just want to strengthening those kind of role of civil society. Our solidarity is continue from the Myanmar people, and I think I'm agreed with you, Yun, that I hope that you are still in the spirit of following the democracy in Myanmar without. I know that it could be tiring as well, but I think the international pressure could be one of the way to support you, and we will do that as well as friends in the region. So thank you everyone, and again, solidarity for the Myanmar people.
Thank you, Indria Fernida. I'd like to invite Pak Ical, but I'm sorry, I get notif from Rafendi. Yeah, Rafendi, text me through WhatsApp, so I didn't read that. So later on, after Pak Ical, I'd like to invite Pak Rafendi Jamin, also a former of ICER Indonesia, batch 2009, 2015, I guess. So Pak Ical first, and then Pak Rafendi, and then I'd like to invite once again, before Scarlett, Pak Wahyu Sisilo to read one poetry about resistance from Wijitukul. So Pak Ical first.
Yeah, I think I don't have much. Everything has been said. But I guess on behalf of ADN, I would like to thank everyone, and I would like to invite Awi and other friends in Indonesia, including Scarlett. If ADN wanted to establishing similar things in 10 countries in Asia, we can start this week or next week, 10 countries. And then I think it's good to, mobilizing friends in Japan, of course, Seoul or South Korea already moving. Malaysia and Philippines a little bit, not really noisy. Maybe in Delhi, we try to make it. And then I would like to follow up Awi and other friends from Indonesia and Scarlett after this. Return to you, Awi.
Thank you so much. So you will amplifying this, banging pot and span across Asia. Thank you, Pak Ical. Now I'd like to invite Pak Rafendi. Sorry, Pak Rafendi, I miss your chat because usually I read in the chat box, but you text me in the different platform. Pak Rafendi.
Okay, thank you, Daniel. I would like to thanks especially Scarlett, very courageous and brave effort and spirits that you have also strengthened us here to support the democratization in Myanmar. I think this panel is really a panel of that show civil society support from different perspectives, from transitional justice perspective, from election perspective, and from the regionalisms like the ICER. We have Excellency Yuyun with us here. And we need to continue this kind of exercise. I like to also echo what has been said by Ichal. if you remember the UN resolutions recently during the special session, although it is a kind of a consensus document, but it is a kind of document that will have to be uh, implemented at least by those countries who are agreed on that. We know that a country like in our region, Philippines, disassociate after the adoption, they associate with the spirit. So we need this kind of solidarity coming from countries who are supporting the resolutions, like from Brazil. I mean the southern country, from Brazil, from the South Korea, from Japan. This kind of event, it has to be every week now. We have witnessed a lot of discussion activities and support through the virtual support from different background. Like it's this afternoon, East West Center in Hawaii is going to organize the same solidarity and discussion, something like this. It has to be amplified further, by using this kind of media now that we have, that we don't have before. We need to also amplify through this way of amplifying the voices and support for democratization. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comment, Barafendi, and of course you highlighted the perspective from what we've been discussing here. Also, of course, the presence of Scarlett share us really strong courage and also brave, spirit to everybody here. So now I'd like to invite again Pak Wahyu Susilo. Mas Wahyu, we ask you to read one more poetry by Biji Tukul. Please, Pak Wahyu.
Ya, terima kasih Awi. Mungkin nanti di akhir ketika kita habis kata lawan, kita pukul semua panci kita semua ya. Oke. Peringatan.
Judulnya apa Pak Wahyu? Sorry.
Ya, peringatan.
Oke.
Jika rakyat pergi ketika penguasa pidato, kita harus hati-hati. Barangkali mereka putus asa. Kalau rakyat bersembunyi dan berbisik-bisik ketika membicarakan masalahnya sendiri, penguasa harus waspada dan belajar mendengar. Bila rakyat tidak berani mengeluh, itu artinya sudah gawat. Dan bila omongan penguasa tidak boleh dibantah, kebenaran pasti terancam. Apabila usul ditolak tanpa ditimbang, suara dibungkam, kritik dilarang tanpa alasan, dituduh subversif dan mengganggu keamanan, maka hanya ada satu kata, lawan. Thank you.
Wow, terima kasih. Thank you so much, Pak Wahyu Susilo. Hanya ada satu kata, lawan. I agree that this is very strong that unite us as a democratic activist in Indonesia. Inspired, I'm sure, a lot from our back 2 decades ago. So last but not least, I'd like to invite the Scarlett to give your closing remark. Scarlett, please.
Terima kasih. That's the first thing that I want to appreciate each of you for organizing this, and each of you attended as well. So I want to request Indonesia, being the largest democracy in the region, be the leader to defend the democracy in the region. Not just in Myanmar, but the whole region. That's the first request. And second, I want you all to know that we are now demanding. We have different demands out on the table. Put on the table. We all given also the ethnic nationality, they have their own demands. Also from the NLD, the ruling party, they have their own demands. But I want you all to know that our generations, we are, of course, we want to restore the situation before the coup, but at the same time, we are looking beyond the 2008 constitution. So we are basically looking to end the military dictatorship immediately, as well as to go for a framework, a legal framework where, that ensure to go for the federal democratic nations. So that's the clear, loud and clear message from our generations. We're not just normalize. We're not just don't want to normalize under the military drafted 2008 constitution. So in that sense, the struggle will be really a long one, right? Not just to restore the status quo. So I want you all to remind us when you think we are all tired, when we are all so tired with our struggle, when we are silent, please remind us to keep going, and you also to recharge us, energize us to keep going forward. That's my last remark. Thank you.
Thank you, Scarlett. Very, touch us a lot. That you have to be really hand in hand. This is what the friends are for, Scarlett. And I agree with you that it is long way struggle. I support totally every voices from the people of Myanmar. We also agree to end military dictatorship. Of course, during the COVID-19 situation, to show up solidarity, gathering in the physical, order is so much challenging, right? So now, please accept our, intention to have online to show up our solidarity through online like this. Hopefully, it also a bit, share with us, the struggle and things. Hopefully, we can continue work together and making sure that in the future that the democratic and human right can be really upheld in this region. I thank you so much, everybody. See you again. Yes. Yeah, Bu
We
Yuyun.
take a picture, group picture with this
Oh yeah, group picture with three finger
three,
sign.
three
Yeah,
fingers.
three fingers. Okay, everybody.
If,
Once
if
again,
everyone can show their video, please.
video on, please. One more time.
Isa pa yung moto.
Host Myowin. Wow, I saw you. I see you here. Wow, how are you?
Okay. So everyone already put their
All in.
fingers.
Why? Since.
All right.
Right.
One,
One.
2, 3. Another one. Another page. 1, 2, 3. Okay. One more. 1, 2, 3. Yes.
Thank you, Scarlett. Thank you, Mbak Yuyun. Thank you, Ical. Thank you, Indri. Thank you, Pak Wahyu Sisilo, and all, who attend here. See you
Thank you,
again.
Daniel.
And also,
Sumare.
Sisu Cumare.